You've got a full-time job and you're earning £800 plus a month on the side. Do you need to tell HMRC? I'm Mustafa, I'm an accountant, and most people get this wrong. I'm going to explain exactly when you need to register and what happens if you don't. 1 in 10 people in the UK have got a side hustle, and most of them have no idea that they need to tell HMRC about this. Some think that, oh, it's just a little bit of extra cash, HMRC won't care. And you've got others who will panic and just register, even though they don't have to. Here's the actual rule behind all this, and it's simpler than you might think. First, the magic number. £1,000. If your side hustle makes under £1,000 in a tax year, you don't need to tell HMRC at all. No registration, no tax return, nothing. They call this the trading allowance. And just an important notice before I get cancelled, this £1,000 is on your gross income, not your profit. And if you don't know what gross means, that's simply money coming in before all of your expenses. So to break that down, let's say you made £900 selling things online. Even if you spent £200 on materials, you're below that £1,000 threshold. Therefore, you don't need to register, you don't need to pay any taxes on this. But let's say you made £1,100 and your expenses were £300. Your gross income is over £1,000. It's £1,100. Now in this case, you do need to register. HMRC is not going to care if your profit was only £800 and that profit was below the threshold. They care about your gross income. You can't have multiple £1,000 allowances. Now let me explain what I mean. So if you make £600 selling on Etsy and then a further £500 being a delivery driver on Uber Eats, that's £1,100 in total. So that means you're over the £1,000 limit. Therefore, you need to register. The £1,000 trading allowance is one allowance across all your self-employed income. So say you started a side hustle in September 2025. The tax year for that year is going to run from April the 6th to April the 5th. So your first tax year is going to end on the April the 5th, 2026. And following that tax year end, you've got a couple of months to register. So make sure you do register in time, or else you'll get penalized. So what most people will do, they'll panic and just register immediately. But wait, just literally calculate your overall income, find out your total expenses and see if you're actually over that £1,000 threshold. And therefore you'll know if you do actually need to waste that time and register with HMRC, or you're all good. But don't be that person who leaves it last minute either. I don't recommend that, and I never will. Your employer will already deduct all your taxes through PAYE. That's all sorted. Your side hustle, on the other hand, is completely separate. HMRC are not going to mess with your main job's tax code. Your side hustle, the tax that you owe on that, it gets paid separately through something called the self-assessment. Your employer is not going to know about your self-employed income at all, unless you are openly public about it and you like to tell everyone. So do you actually owe tax? Now here's where it gets really interesting. Just because you register doesn't mean that you owe any tax. Every single person has a personal allowance of £12,570. And if your full-time job has already used that up, high chances are if you're working full-time, you're going to be earning more than £12,570. If not, there's a bigger problem that we need to think about. So yeah, if your main job is taking up that whole allowance, then yeah, your side hustle is going to get taxed, definitely. So to put this into a little bit of an example, let's say you earn £30,000 at your main job. That means your £12,570 allowance is completely used up. You then go on to make £3,000 from your side hustle in income, and you spend around £500 on expenses. Your overall profit is now £2,500. You have two options. Option A, you claim the trading allowance. This takes your taxable profit down to £1,500. So you get £1,000 allowance, completely free. And then the tax on that at 20% is going to be about £300. Or option B, you claim the actual expenses, which were £500. So that means your taxable profit is going to be £2,500 and tax on that at 20% is going to be £500. So in this case, option A is clearly better. You pay less tax overall. And that's because you chose to use the trading allowance. So even though you made £2,500, your taxable profit was only £1,500. Now look, if you're just clearing out your wardrobe on Vinted, you probably don't owe any tax. Why? It's because the things that you're selling on there are likely being sold at a loss. You've paid more for them initially and now you're selling them at a cheaper discounted rate because they're used. You're not necessarily trading, you're just getting rid of your old possessions. Even if you sold £2,000 worth of old clothes, if you originally paid £3,000 for them, you're clearly operating at a loss there. So no tax. But on the other hand, if you're buying things to resell at a profit, then you're trading. So the trading allowance will apply. Are you making anything more than £1,000? If so, you need to register and potentially pay tax. There's a name to this and it's called the Badges of Trade test. And the simple questions are you buying to sell? Have you got a shop name? And do you sell things regularly? If you answer yes to all of them, then you're trading. Look, if you're watching this and thinking you're not sure if your side hustle counts as trading or not, click the link in the description, book in a call with me. We'll go through your current setup, see what you're doing, and give you a qualified opinion as to whether or not you should be registered. We'll review your whole situation and see if you even need to register. There's no pressure on this call, just clarity. So what happens if you're over £1,000 and you fail to notify HMRC? Now, you're gonna get a couple of penalties for doing this. So if you should have registered and you didn't, HMRC will penalize you. The penalty itself depends purely on how much you owe and how late you are. It could be just £100 or it could be a lot more, just depending on your case. Once you're registered for self-assessment, you must submit a tax return every year by the January the 31st. That's your deadline. Miss it by even 1 day. Yeah, 1 day, you get an automatic £100 fine. And even if you owe £0 in tax, this still applies. If you owe tax and you don't pay it, HMRC can charge you for that and penalise you for that as well. HMRC actually charges you interest. So if you owe £500 and you're 6 to 8 months late on your payments, they're gonna charge you interest. You might be paying an additional £30, £40, £50 on top. Here's the kicker. Here's a big thing that you guys need to know. Since January 2024, all these platforms that you guys sell on, eBay, Vinted, Airbnb, Uber, they're all reporting to HMRC. HMRC is automatically getting your data. Every single time you sell something, every single time you earn something, that's getting pushed to them. So if you think that they'll never find out or they don't know anything until I tell them everything, you're wrong. They already have that data. So if you're over £1,000 and you haven't registered, HMRC might just come knocking on your door. I don't know if they will, but there's a chance. So it's better to register before that all happens because it'll be cheaper for you, less headache, and overall, it's just what you need to do. So here's the truth. Most side hustlers, they'll either panic, make a couple of £100, register with HMRC, even though they don't need to, or on the other hand, you'll have people who make £2,000, £3,000, £4,000 from their side hustle and will think HMRC will never know, I don't need to declare this, and I'm not paying tax. Both are wrong. The rule is pretty simple. Over £1,000 gross income, you need to register. Under £1,000, then you don't need to, but just keep records, keep accurate records just for yourself, just in case. And if you've been over £1,000 for multiple years and you've never registered, register now, file the tax returns that are due, pay the taxes that are owed. Because HMRC does have your platform data and they'll eventually catch up. It's always better to come forward yourself than have HMRC chase you and for them to ask you for information. So if you're watching this thinking, oops, I should have been registered many years ago and I've not done it, you now have two options. Option number one, you panic, you avoid it and hope HMRC doesn't send you a letter in the post. High chance they will. Or option number two, you get ahead of it now, today. You book in a call with me, the link is in the description. We'll work out exactly what you owe. We'll register you for self-assessment should you need to, and we'll sort it all out before HMRC come knocking. Because here's the reality, they've already got your data. It's just a matter of time when they get around to your file and they send you that letter. So click below and let's get you sorted.